There's a moment you don't notice until you look back on it. Maybe it was the first time you reached for the railing on the stairs without thinking, not because you were tired, just out of habit now, or the morning you set the grocery bags down in the driveway to rest, before carrying them inside. You didn't make a conscious decision about it, you just did it. Most people chalk these moments up to aging, and aging is part of the picture, but here's what the research actually shows. The changes you feel in your strength usually begin long before you see any visible muscle loss. You won't notice it in the mirror first, you'll feel it in moments like those. What most people don't realize is that muscle decline after 60 isn't as inevitable as it seems, and the foods you eat every day have far more influence over this than most doctors ever mention during a routine appointment. The ability to get up from a chair on your own, climb stairs without gripping the railing, these are quiet markers of independence. Lose them gradually, and life changes in ways that compound quickly. But if aging is only part of the story, what else is actually happening inside your muscles? Anabolic resistance. Think of your muscles like a door. When you were younger, that door opened easily. You ate some protein, your muscles got the signal, and they maintained themselves. After 60, it's the same door, but the hinge has gotten stiffer. It still opens. It absolutely still works, but it takes more effort to get it moving. What's happening has a name: anabolic resistance. That's a clinical term, but the plain English version is simple. Older muscles don't respond to protein as quickly or as efficiently as younger muscles do. When a 25-year-old eats a protein-rich meal, their muscles get to work fairly fast. When someone in their 60s or 70s eats that same meal, the muscles still respond. But the signal is quieter, weaker. This doesn't mean your muscles have quit on you. It means they need a stronger, clearer signal. And that's reflected in the research. For decades, the standard guideline said adults need about 0.8 grams of protein per kilogram of body weight per day. But more recent evidence, including work from geriatric nutrition researchers, suggests older adults likely need closer to 1 to 1.2 grams per kilogram, or higher in some cases, just to get the same muscle-supporting effect that younger adults get from less. Your body hasn't broken down, it's working with a different threshold now. Once you understand that, it changes how you think about food, not just how much protein you eat across a day, but when you eat it, and how it's spread across your meals. Which brings up the mistake you are probably making without knowing it. The timing mistake. Most older adults who eat protein assume they're getting enough, and their daily total might actually be fine. The problem is usually timing. Picture a fairly typical day. Breakfast is light, maybe toast and coffee, or a bowl of oatmeal. Lunch is a salad, or a sandwich, and then dinner is where the protein finally lands: a chicken breast, a piece of fish, a good-sized portion built around the evening meal. That pattern feels normal because it is normal. It's how a lot of us have eaten for most of our lives, but research suggests it's one of the least effective patterns for older muscles specifically. Muscle protein synthesis, the process where your body actually repairs and rebuilds muscle, responds better when protein is spread more evenly through the day, rather than concentrated in one large meal. When you eat a large amount at dinner, your muscles can only use so much in a single sitting. The rest doesn't do the muscle-building work you might expect it to. Meanwhile, a breakfast with almost no protein means your muscles go hours after waking, without the signal they need. That's a gap that adds up, day after day. The shift this points to isn't expensive. It doesn't require anything from a supplement store. It just requires rethinking what goes on your plate in the morning. And 3 foods make that easier than most people expect. 3 breakfast powerhouses. Eggs have been eaten for breakfast for centuries, and it turns out there was more wisdom in that habit than anyone quite understood at the time. A single large egg contains about 6 grams of protein. 2 eggs gives you 12, before you've added anything else to the plate. But what makes eggs particularly valuable for older adults isn't just the number. It's how usable that protein is. Researchers use the word bioavailability to describe how efficiently your body can absorb and use a nutrient. Eggs score exceptionally high. Your muscles don't just receive the protein from eggs, they actually get to use most of it. And for anyone who doesn't have much appetite in the morning, eggs are forgiving: scrambled, soft-boiled, folded into a simple omelet. 2 eggs eaten slowly still count. The protein doesn't change based on how you cook them. Greek yogurt is worth understanding differently than most people do. A single cup of plain Greek yogurt contains somewhere between 15 and 18 grams of protein. That surprises people. It's more than a glass of milk, more than most people assume they're getting from something that feels like a light snack. What makes it useful at breakfast specifically is how little effort it takes. There's no cooking involved. Add some fruit, eat it at the counter, and you've done something meaningful for your muscles before the day has really started. Then there's milk, which tends to get treated as an afterthought. An 8-ounce glass of whole or 2% milk contains about 8 grams of protein, alongside calcium and vitamin D, nutrients that matter for bone health, right alongside muscle health. For someone who isn't hungry enough for a full breakfast, a glass of milk paired with whatever they do manage to eat is one of the lowest effort ways to raise the protein content of that first meal. 2 of these foods together, 2 eggs and a glass of milk, or a cup of Greek yogurt and a boiled egg, can put you at 20 or more grams of protein before the morning is over. That's not a dramatic change, but for your muscles, it's a meaningfully different day. Appetite, though, is something else, and for many older adults, that's where things quietly get harder. The appetite factor. There's a shift that happens with age that doesn't get nearly enough attention, and it has nothing to do with willpower or motivation. Appetite naturally decreases as we get older. The hunger signals that used to arrive reliably become quieter. Many older adults find they genuinely don't feel hungry enough to eat large meals, even when they know they should. This is real, it's common, and it creates a particular challenge when it comes to protein, because if you're eating less overall, you're almost certainly getting less protein, right at the time when your body needs more of it than it used to. Texture matters more than most people realize in this situation. Cottage cheese is one of the most underrated foods for this specific problem. It's soft, mild, easy to eat in small amounts, and a half-cup serving contains somewhere around 12 to 14 grams of protein. You don't need a large portion to get real value from it, paired with a little fruit, or eaten as a small afternoon portion. It's a way of adding meaningful protein, without needing a full appetite to do it. Soft tofu works for similar reasons. It's gentle, easy to chew, and takes on the flavor of whatever it's cooked with, which makes it adaptable for people who find certain textures difficult, or are cautious about trying unfamiliar foods. And Greek yogurt, which we talked about at breakfast, works just as well in small amounts at other points in the day. A few spoonfuls as a snack still count toward your total. The underlying idea is straightforward. Smaller amounts of protein-rich food, eaten more consistently through the day, can do more for your muscles than one large, protein-heavy meal that takes real effort to finish. For some people, though, the concern isn't appetite, it's cost. High protein on a budget. The idea that eating well is expensive is one of the most persistent myths in nutrition. Some of the most protein-dense foods available are also among the cheapest, and a few of them have been feeding families through hard times for generations. Lentils are a good place to start. 1 cup of cooked lentils contains roughly 18 grams of protein. A 1-pound bag of dried lentils costs under $2 in most grocery stores and produces multiple servings. They store well, cook without much fuss, and work in soups, stews, or eaten simply with a little seasoning. Beans, black beans, kidney beans, chickpeas, pinto beans follow the same logic. A half-cup serving from a can that costs less than $1 contributes around 7 to 8 grams of protein. Rinse them, warm them, add them to whatever you're already making. Peanut butter surprises a lot of people. 2 tablespoons contain about 7 to 8 grams of protein, and it pairs with almost anything. Spread on whole grain toast, alongside an apple, stirred into oatmeal. It's probably already in your kitchen. Edamame, young soybeans, found frozen in most grocery stores, is worth mentioning specifically because it's what researchers call a complete protein. It contains all the essential amino acids your muscles need, which is less common among plant foods. A cup of edamame contains around 17 grams of protein. One practical note: combining a variety of plant proteins through the day, some beans here, some lentils there, peanut butter with a meal, helps ensure you're getting a fuller range of amino acids. No single plant food has to carry the whole load. Eating well on a budget isn't a compromise. Sometimes it's just knowing which aisle to spend time in. Pure density and convenience. If you want the most protein packed into the fewest bites, a handful of foods consistently rise to the top, and they're probably more familiar than you'd expect. Canned tuna is one of the most overlooked protein sources in any grocery store. A 3-ounce serving contains around 20 grams of protein. It costs about $1, and it requires no cooking. Tuna mixed with a little olive oil and lemon, eaten with whole grain crackers or on bread, is a complete, high-protein lunch that takes 5 minutes to put together. Canned salmon works similarly and adds omega-3 fats that benefit both muscle and cardiovascular health. Chicken breast has a reputation for being plain, but it has that reputation because people have been eating it reliably for decades. 4 ounces contains roughly 25 to 30 grams of protein, with very little fat. A rotisserie chicken from the grocery store, already cooked, already seasoned, is one of the most practical shortcuts available for anyone who doesn't want to cook from scratch every evening. What fish and chicken share, along with Greek yogurt and cottage cheese, is that they're complete proteins. They contain all the essential amino acids your muscles need to repair and rebuild. That completeness matters, and it's part of why these foods keep appearing at the top of research on muscle health in older adults. You don't need large portions to benefit. A reasonable serving at lunch, another at dinner, spread through the day rather than stacked into one meal. That rhythm is what actually makes a difference over time. There's one thing, though, that even the best protein choices can't do on their own, and understanding it is what turns a good day of eating into something that actually builds strength. The ideal muscle-friendly day. Everything we've covered works best not as a collection of individual foods, but as a pattern you repeat, consistently, not perfectly. Here's what a muscle-friendly day might actually look like, using only what we've already talked about. Breakfast, 2 scrambled eggs and a cup of Greek yogurt. That combination alone delivers roughly 25 to 30 grams of protein. Add a glass of milk, and you're closer to 35. Lunch, a can of tuna mixed simply with olive oil and lemon, on whole grain bread, with a small handful of edamame alongside. Another 25 or more grams of protein, in a meal that takes under 10 minutes to put together. Dinner, a modest piece of grilled chicken or fish, 4 to 5 ounces, alongside whatever vegetables and grains feel right. Another 20 to 25 grams. And somewhere in the afternoon, a small serving of cottage cheese with fruit, or a tablespoon of peanut butter with an apple, fills the space between meals, without requiring much effort or appetite. Across that day, you've worked through a wide range of protein sources, animal and plant, dairy and seafood, without relying heavily on any single food, without spending unusual amounts, and without hours in the kitchen. Research also consistently supports pairing this kind of eating pattern with regular physical activity, even light movement, a short walk, some body weight exercises, resistance bands, helps your muscles actually use the protein you're giving them. Nutrition and movement work together, in ways that neither one does alone. You won't do this perfectly every day. That's not the goal, but on the days when you do, your muscles are getting a different message than they were before you knew any of this. There's one more thing worth saying before we close, and it matters. Protein needs vary. Age, body weight, activity level, and overall health all play a role, and for anyone living with kidney disease or other conditions that affect how the body processes protein. The general approach in this video may not be appropriate. Please speak with your doctor or a registered dietitian before making significant changes to your diet. For some people, that conversation is genuinely important. For everyone else, here's what we want you to carry with you. Muscle loss after 60 is real, but weakness is not your destiny. Your muscles are still listening. They still respond. They just need a clearer, more consistent signal than they did 30 years ago. And simple, affordable foods can provide exactly that. The difference between gradually losing strength and gradually holding on to it often comes down to small decisions made at ordinary meals: an egg at breakfast, a can of tuna at lunch, a little cottage cheese in the afternoon. Small things, repeated over time, that's what independence is built from, not grand gestures, but quiet, daily choices that your body quietly rewards. So, which high-protein food are you adding to your next meal? Tell us in the comments. We read every one. And if this was helpful, subscribing means you won't miss what's coming next. This video is for informational purposes only and is not medical advice. Please consult your doctor before making significant changes to your diet.